What's going on, guys? Brent here, and today we are going over the Model C from Electric Bike Company. This is a really sweet cruiser style bike, and we're in Newport right now. I'm actually here with Sean, the owner. Hi, Sean. But we're at the Wedge here in Newport, California, and this is like a renowned kind of surf area right here. I'm trying to get some elevations to see if you guys can kind of see it. But basically, what Sean was telling me is that, you know, waves, they come in from this way, from Catalina Island. They just get to like 40-foot swells, and it's a really dangerous but really intense kind of place to surf. It's really famous, I guess, and yeah, I guess if I Google it, you can find a bunch of images and stuff like that. But yeah, today we're talking about the Model C, which is right here. This is kind of the classic version of the cruiser from Electric Bike Company. They also have the Model S, which is the step-thru right here. Court actually reviewed this one a while back. I'll go ahead and post a link to that review here in the written portion. But you can see this one's pretty decked out. They have a bunch of accessories here for these bikes. They got the saddlebags, they got these custom wood fenders, just tons of cool stuff. We'll go over that, but yeah, this has been a really fun bike to test, guys, and there's a lot to go over here. But I think before I really dive into kind of the specs of this bike and kind of my experience with it, I do want to call out first and foremost that Electric Bike Company is a direct order only company, which I always typically try to go over a little bit, you know, before I dive into this stuff. So basically, what that means is, you know, they don't really have any physical brick and mortar stores, and with direct order only, there's kind of one awesome pro to it and some potential cons that can come along with it too. So the biggest pro is going to be the price savings, and I think, you know, with this as well, that's really evident. You know, $19.50 for the base model here, and I mean, really, this is a good value buy in my opinion for just for what we're getting overall. And again, that's kind of the best thing really about the direct order only, because there's no physical brick and mortar stores, there's less overhead, less employees, just all that kind of stuff. But you know, there can be some potential downsides as well, and some of the biggest ones that I've noticed is there can be kind of just a communication barrier sometimes with some of the companies that are overseas. I've experienced that. With Electric Bike Company, that's not an issue at all. These guys are actually based in Newport. They assemble everything here in Newport. Their customer service is here in Newport, California. So my experience with them has been really good, both in person and also kind of over the phone, just calling them a couple of times from different numbers before I actually came out here. So yeah, these guys are they're friendly, they're knowledgeable about their bikes, and they actually answer their phones with human beings, which is awesome. So another potential issue that can happen with direct order only is, I mean, look, when these bikes come to me, typically I actually have these delivered instead of coming out to them. And when these bikes come to me, I have to assemble them. Sometimes the pieces don't fit quite right. Sometimes things are a little bit mismatched. Maybe even a couple times I've had you know, pieces or components that were not quite what they advertise on the website. Again, with Electric Bike Company, that has not been the issue at all. Again, I mean, I haven't had this bike delivered to me. I did see how they box this stuff up, how they package it to send it out, and I will say it is overkill. The amount of foam and stuff that they put in this thing, in the box to kind of protect the bike in transit, it's really good. And I'll show you guys some shots of that as we get back to the shop here later on. But another cool thing about this for shipping is that it comes fully assembled, so 100% assembled. The only thing that I would have to do if I order this and got it to my house is basically just twist the handlebars, tighten them up, and then I'm ready to go. Tires are filled with air, the frame is complete, an airplane flies by. I don't know, every time I film, I swear, airplanes, helicopters, they know I'm filming, and I think they're coming for me. Maybe they want in on the action, I don't know. So yeah, so basically the potential downfalls that can come with direct order only, I feel like you know, Electric Bike Company has really gone above and beyond to try to quell those fears or potential fears, you know. I mean, especially because these guys have a 30-day money-back warranty, you know, on this. So if I order this, because look, I can't, you know, if I order this online, I'm not going to be able to test ride this bike or the Model S before I get it. There's no stores for me to check this out at, so maybe this isn't going to fit me. Because look, again, you know, this is only one frame size, guys. This is only going to be an 18-inch frame here, and that one frame size is going to be a little bit limiting for who can ride this bike. Extra tall riders, it might cut them out completely. Extra short riders, it might cut them out completely as well. I mean, there is an adjustable angle stem here, which is going to help to kind of increase and decrease reach and just kind of change the riding posture altogether. So that's cool. But yeah, so like maybe I order this bike and I'm not comfortable, I'm not really sure. Well, I have a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. So they'll actually, you know, they just ship the bike back as long as you have the original packaging, and basically no worries, no issues at all. And they also have a really good warranty on this thing. So it's 5 years comprehensive warranty for, you know, stuff like the electronics, the integrated light, stuff like the battery, stuff like the cadence sensor, all the electronics on here, 5-year warranty, including all that. And then they have a 10-year warranty on the actual motor itself and the frame. So overall, that's quite a bit of stuff. I mean, did I miss anything, Sean, or is there anything else you want to add about just kind of all that stuff we just talked about?
No, that's really good, Brent. Yeah, the warranty is important to us, and especially when people buy online. You know, you want to kind of give that trust to the customer. So yeah, they have the 30 days to try it out, and if they don't like it for any reason, we'll actually pay for the return shipping. We'll pay for the shipping there, pay for the shipping back, and give them a 100% money back guarantee.
Oh, right on.
So we are really, we stand by the product, and we really want the customer to be happy with what he has.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Sean, for bringing that up. Yeah, so like you said, like Sean said, they actually will. So if I buy this, I don't like it, for whatever reason, maybe it doesn't work. I doubt that would happen. But let's just say I want to ship it back. They actually pay for the return shipping as well, as long as we have the original box, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so
the box.
That's pretty sweet. So, okay, wow, yeah, really, there is a lot to go over here, folks. I'm gonna try to keep this as brief as possible, but no promises. Man, where do I want to start? I want to start just with an overall kind of approach here with this bike. The thing that, look, this is a beach cruiser electric bike, right? And we are here again, like I said, in Newport, and that's a really fitting bike for this area. I mean, I see, you know, 90% of the bikes that I see out here are going to be this style of bike, you know. So at first blush, it might just be like, oh, this is just another electric bike, but there's so much to this that I think that makes it unique and kind of above average. And it's really just kind of like a lot of the little details here, you know, as far as aesthetics go, just the quality stuff, you know, hydraulic brakes here, but you know, like this nylon kind of sheathing over the cables, and then kind of the you know, the heat shrink wrap here. It's just all these little details, you know, really attention to detail for you know, zip tying the wires to the frame, and then really cutting those zip ties real close there. I mean, I really appreciate that. Stuff like this, where this front headlight, it looks like it's independent. It's not. It's actually integrated, and the wire is like hidden behind this little plate right here. Feeds down. I mean, everything's paint matched, and there's so many options to have upgrade points for this. Like I said, we've got saddlebags, like the ones over here on the Model S. I can do paint match differences for, you know, the stem, for the rims, the fenders, the chain cover here. This is like another upgrade point. This is a wood one, but you know, if I wanted to do black or steel or something, I could do that. The geometry here is just nice. The finish on the paint. A lot of little details that really make this shine, aside from some of the cooler components here. And so let's talk about the first thing I want to touch on right here is going to be the motor. So this is a 500 watt nominal motor right here, but it's got 1280 peak watt capability, which is really quite a bit. And this motor is, I'm gonna say it's one of the most powerful 500 watt motors I've tested, potentially the most powerful. Again, this is a planetary geared motor here in the back, is hub motor, and it brings this thing to a top speed of 20 miles per hour with the pedal assist, or sorry, 28 miles per hour with the pedal assist. So we've got this 8 magnet cadence sensor down here. So the resolution on this is going to be a little bit less than some of the, you know, like the 10 magnet and the 12 magnet cadence sensors. But I gotta say, surprisingly, the sensitivity on this, the responsiveness has been pretty good in my experience. We went for like a 10-mile ride just before we started filming this. The motor activates pretty quickly and it shuts off pretty quickly as well. So that's kind of nice. But top speed for the pedal assist is going to be 28 miles per hour out of the box, and then top speed for the throttle is going to be 20 miles per hour. That's correct, right, Sean? 28 for, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So look, here in California, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, it's just not as strict out here. But this is going to be a class 3 bike, okay, and the configuration's out of the box. So I just really want to caution you guys to please check with just your local and state laws to be sure that that you're riding within regulations, or just that what the potential risks are, because the last thing I would want is for anybody to get into legal trouble, but also just to get hurt and then maybe to get into like a civil lawsuit or something. So yeah, just definitely keep that in mind, and just please be careful when you're riding, guys. Now we can, if I wanted to, I can actually lower though the top speed of the throttle, and I can lower the top speed of the pedal assist with the settings here, which is cool because I could even turn the throttle off and make this a class 1 electric bike. So that's cool. I can change this in the back end, and I will show you guys how to do it here in just a little bit. But the cool thing about this motor too is it really gets me up to speed just pretty quickly. I'm a 200-pound rider, and where's my bag? And I got this bag here, which is like, I mean, honestly, guys, I got probably 30 extra pounds of gear in this thing. It's heavy. And right now, it's like especially full. I have my computer in here. I got the drone and just all this stuff. So all together, probably around 215, 220 pounds, something like that. It's a lot of weight, and even with that much weight, this bike is able to get me up to that top speed of 28 miles per hour really easily. And in fact, it's one of the few bikes where I do not keep it in the top pedal assist mode. I've been keeping this thing in like pedal assist mode level 2 and just using the throttle for override when I need it, because for me, it's like pedal assist level 5. It's almost too powerful, because again, this is a cadence sensor. So, with that, the power, the wave of power is really whoosh, it's just kind of like on or off. It's not going to be that smooth kind of roll on like with the torque sensor, So because of that, I've been kind of keeping it in lower pedal assist mode, and like I said, just using the throttle. And I'm still like, I'm just gonna turn this on real quick. We just went for like a 10-mile ride here, 12 miles, and I've still got just tons of battery left. It says I got full battery here, and that's because on this particular model right here, I've got the 17.4 amp hour battery. This is an upgrade point for this battery here. This is like an integrated kind of locking battery. It kind of slips in between the this rear rack right here. But the standard battery for this is going to be the 11.6 amp hour battery. It's gonna be 48 volts each. I think it's like 580 watt hours versus like 800 and something for the bigger one right here. But yeah, there's quite a bit of juice in this thing. And what's really interesting about this battery configuration is, check this out. Okay, so right in here, whoosh, I got a power cable. Look at this. Look at that. How trippy is this? And I can plug this thing in. I can plug my bike in while the battery is attached to the bike, or if I want to take the battery off, I can throw it in my bag and then charge this thing up at a coffee shop or something like that. And then when I'm done, it just automatically retracts, just like a vacuum cleaner cord or something like that. There's also a light in here. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's that little LED on the left right there, and that's going to be, like that standard charger light, like red if it's charging, green if it's done, something like that. This is a 1.8 amp output for this integrated charger right here. When I'm done, I can just go ahead and put this cover back just to help keep dust, dirt, moisture out of there. So 1.8 amp output for this charger is integrated into this battery. If I wanted a more powerful charger, these guys do offer a 5 amp fast charger, which is definitely pretty quick. It's got a nice little, I didn't bring the charger, I'll show it to you guys here back at the shop, but it's got a fan that's built into it and it expels heat, just keeps it nice and cool while it's charging. Also in the battery itself here, there's a little 4-bar battery indicator. Hopefully you guys are trying to so you can see it. Yeah, so anyways, if I push this button, it's got 4 bars right here. It's gonna give me a quick power reading at a glance. There's also an integrated tail light built into it's in the battery itself. So if I take out the battery, again, I think we left the keys at the shop, but I'll take this out here when we get back there. If I take the battery out, this is actually, it's into the battery right here. So this, whatever the lights are on, this tail light is going to be on as well. It's steady on, so it's not going to actually get brighter when I brake, but it is going to increase my visibility in low light conditions from the back. So that's definitely nice. And just real quick with this frame, or with this rear rack here, something that's kind of cool about this, another one of those, kind of just details I think that might go unnoticed, kind of at first blush, is, this is not bolted on. This is actually, all these are weld points right here. and it just makes for a really clean finish, and it's going to just add for kind of rigidity to the frame, and it just looks nice, honestly. But you know, there's no bolts, nothing to kind of loosen up over time, less stuff to rust really. But, and you know, with this rigidity like I was talking about, this frame here is, like I said, this is 69.2 pounds. This is a heavy bike, and it's also pretty back heavy, right? Because we've got the battery here in the back, we've got the motor in the back as well. So a lot of the weight is kind of positioned in the back. However, if I wanted to, there is an option to have a upgraded basket that has an extra battery in the front as well. So I could use that to help balance out this bike if I wanted, and also to increase my range to something ridiculous, like, who knows, like 120, 130 miles. Like, have you done like a max range test or anything with this?
Yes, with the front basket battery and the extended battery in the back, it's about 140 miles, 150 miles.
Wow, that's absurd.
So it's really...
So, I mean, was that like on just like terrain like around here? Like, was this local or?
Yeah, it's typically from here down to San Diego, on the way down to San Diego. It's a very straight, level road, but our way, I don't even want to say it.
It's okay.
But yeah, you go for a long time. It's like a 5-hour bike ride. Yeah.
Wow, cool. Thank you. I didn't know that you actually done that kind of test. So there you go, guys. I mean, that's, yeah, if I wanted to, I could add that, like I said, help balance it out, even more range. But I don't know, I for one probably wouldn't want to ride a beach cruiser for that long, but at least I have the option if I want to. But back to the rigidity though, so I like the weld points back here. It's just gonna make this frame really stable, really rigid, and just secure, which is great because look, this thing does weigh a lot, and I want this frame to be strong and rigid, not have any sort of flex, especially at those high speeds of 20 miles per hour for a guy like me who weighs that much. But something that else is kind of cool with Electric Bike Company, what they did, and again, just another one of those things that kind of goes maybe unnoticed here unless we kind of dive into it, but the frame material here is going to be aluminum alloy, but the thickness is 3 millimeters compared to kind of the average of 1.5 millimeters. So the frame itself is really thick. Oh, hello, airplane. Okay guys, that's twice. That's 2 airplanes. We have to help you keep track to see how many airplanes and helicopters fly by. So yeah, basically what I'm saying, guys, is that this frame is just, it's really strong, really sturdy, really nice weld points. Yeah, a lot of these details. We also got steel rigid forks here in the front. This is going to help with vibration dampening qualities. Steel is going to help soak up a little bit of those bumps in the road better than just like aluminum forks. They are going to be heavier. They are going to be prone to rust though if I do scratch them all the way through the paint to the metal itself. Also with these forks, what I like about these is they kind of swoop forward just a little bit, and that forward angle helps to reduce toe strikes when I'm making hard turns at low speeds. Especially for me, I have pretty big feet, like size 11, even 12 sometimes, depending on the shoe. So that is a big issue for me with a lot of bikes like this, but it's not something that I experience with this bike, so I do like that. There's also steel handlebars. Again, just another one of those things where it does add a little bit of weight. It does make it possible that it could rust if I scratch this, but that's also going to help me with the vibration dampening and just to make a smoother ride all around, because there is no suspension in this bike. This is it's a hardtail, no front suspension. However, they do offer a seat post suspension, Suntour NCX seat post suspension that I can put right here. Yeah, so we'll show that. There's so many accessories for this thing, so I'm just going to show them all to you guys when we get back to the shop, because there's just so much else we can add to this bike. Wow, lot to talk about. Sean, you want me to take a break? Anything you want to add? There's just so much to go over with this bike.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. The big thing, I suppose, also is that we try to make the bike last 20, 30 years. So everything that's on the bike is actually stainless steel, non-rust hardware. So the chain is non-rust, the spokes are all non-rust, all the hardware that we have attached all the components to the bike are all stainless. So we try to make it that it's a simple bike, but it will be last you a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes sense. I mean, especially with the warranty that you guys have, and going back to that kind of quality stuff that may not be so readily kind of so readily available to notice. Even the small stuff like the spindle here is going to be, this is sealed bearings here, guys. So sealed bearings here, and then sealed bearings in the head tube. And for a place like this in Newport, that's just, so basically sealed bearings is going to help keep moisture out, help keep dirt out, and help with just the longevity of those bearings over time. And in a place like this in Newport, I can just feel the salt water in the air. I mean, seriously, there's just so much salt here by the ocean, and you know, a bike like this, it's gonna rust more easily without those upgraded components, like without the upgraded steel, stainless steel, which can still rust. You know, I've had stainless steel knives and stuff that have rusted, but obviously the chance is going to be less of it rusting. So basically, yeah, still something to watch out for with this, but a lot of upgraded points here to help reduce that overall. So another great thing about this bike that I really do appreciate is just the braking. So these are Tektro Riga E-Sub hydraulic disc brakes here. I love that they're hydraulic. Not only are they more powerful, but the hydraulic brakes here, the levers are going to have a little screw right there. I can adjust the reach of these levers. I can bring them in, I can let them out, and it's just going to give me kind of some opportunity to really fine-tune the reach for this, fine-tune this bike, customize it to like make it mine. But the again, I gotta go back to this wire wrapping. I really like just these small little details. So pretty. Love this. Life is too short for messy wires. These have motor inhibitors built into to the brake levers, guys. So whenever I depress either one of these brake levers here, it's going to instantly cut power to the motor, which is great because, again, like I said, the roll-on of power of this is very strong. This is a very powerful motor. It's kind of like 100% or nothing, and there is a slight delay from the time that I stop pedaling to the time that the motor actually cuts off, which is pretty common for cadence sensors, especially 8 magnet versus 10 or 12 magnet cadence sensors. So being able to kind of override that and control that by just hitting the brakes, great safety feature, and it's just going to ensure that I have the shortest possible stopping distance whenever I do need to have an emergency stop. But the rotors here are 180 millimeter discs in the front, 180 millimeter discs in the back. And one of the things about direct order only that I have found is, you know, typically when I order a bike and I have it delivered to me, I have to put on the front wheel, typically put on the handlebars, at least put on a few things. But in so doing, typically the disc here is not going to be true. The calipers here are going to be a little bit off. There's going to be brake rub, and it's just kind of annoying, and I don't like that. But you know, with these guys, again, because this comes fully assembled to the door, and because Electric Bike Company does, you know, assemble pretty much every single piece in their shop in Newport, they also true their brakes, and they, you know, they bleed the lines and stuff. And again, we'll show you that when we get back to the shop. But basically, what I'm saying is these brakes are perfect out of the box. And I tested pretty much every one of their, or at least quite a few of their bikes in their shop to make just to make sure that the brakes here were not an anomaly with this, because they are so good. But the stopping power is really good. They are perfectly balanced, and to me, it's just a really big deal, especially for a bike like this. That's just, it goes so fast, and frankly, it can be dangerous because of those speeds. So braking is a hugely important piece to me, guys. It really is. And even like on this ride to get here, we went on some pretty steep hills going up and down, and there were some points where I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to do a brake test here, and yeah, they worked out really well, so that was cool. And then back to just the aesthetics again real quick. I'm gonna probably keep coming back to that point, but you know, wire management again, really nice here. The wires, they disappear into this little this part here on the head tube, which also is where the basket is supported, which is cool because this basket is going to be independent of the steering. It's attached to the frame, so I can turn the handlebars here, ta-da, and that basket stays nice and flat, so my cargo is not going to spill out when I'm turning, especially at lower speeds here. And then real quick, back to this integrated headlight. This is cool that it's on top, that's on the basket, as opposed to on the suspension. It just means it's not gonna get blocked by cargo. It means that it's going to be suspended weight, which really isn't that big of a deal since, you know, these aren't suspension down here. But the biggest thing with this is going back to being able to turn the, you know, the wheel or the tire independent of the you know, the basket. Well, it also means that this headlight is going to be pointing straight forward, so that's going to be great for kind of increasing visibility overall from the front. However, I'm not really going to be able to use this to kind of illuminate my path because it's not going to steer with me. Hopefully that makes sense. So back to the wiring, yeah, look, a lot of this is not only is it internally routed, but I mean, just there's just so much like little details here. Like this, look at this little plastic piece that goes into the frame, like perfectly cut out. It just makes, I mean, it's just so clean. Same thing, wires pop out here, and they come down here, and back there. So the pedals here, the position of this kickstand in comparison to the pedals, I am going to get pedal lock here. So normally I do prefer the kickstand in the back, but with this kickstand, one thing I'll give it is it's got a pretty dramatic angle. So it's almost like it acts like a tripod almost. It really articulates out pretty far from the bike, and it just makes it really stable. Like I'm on sand here, right? And even in the sand, this thing is able to stay upright. And I think, you know, again, for a beach cruiser, for a place like this, that's pretty important. It might be more important than preventing pedal lock, even though it does bug me so much. And so yeah, if I did put it back here, it may not be as stable. This is also an adjustable length kickstand, so I can bring it out even further if I wanted to, or I can bring it back in if I want to have the angle of the bike a little bit more down. So there are some options there as well. And if we go over to this side here, I just want to point out the chain cover. This is just another one of those pieces where there's a lot I can change on this bike. This is a steel chain cover, again, really nice. It's sturdy. It's not going to bounce around or make any noise. Again, it could rust if I scratch it, you know, all the way through. So please be careful with that. Just watch out. There are some products where I could just use like a little pin or something and seal it if I needed to. But this chain guard, or the chain cover. So Sean, can you actually come over here and help with, because there's so much that I know that I can kind of swap out here for, you know, the customization. Like I can change the chain cover, the rims. Like what else can we change here for the color to color match this stuff?
Yes, so Brent, yeah, the rims, you can choose your different color rims. So you got black, silver and red. You can also choose to have fenders or no fenders, and you can choose black, red or white.
Okay. You can choose, and that's the three main colors that this bike comes in, is black, red and white. Okay.
And then you can choose the color of your seat. So the seat is a tan or a black type of seat, and very comfortable sort of wide seat with springs on the bottom. And of course you could have that suspension seat post if you like, if you're taller than sort of 5'8", because it adds a little bit of height to the bike.
Okay.
And the other options that you can have is because you can have the silver motor and trim, or you can with the front hub. So this could be all silver, so the seat post, the chain ring and crank, and the stem and the handlebars. So that can either be black or silver. So online you get to choose sort of 7 or 8 options, and then while you're choosing your options, actually the bike is then built sort of right there for you, and it'll show you each of how those options look on your particular bike.
Gotcha. So you get kind of a live feedback of what it is that you're selecting to see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. And also, just to go back to this Model S real quick, just to show you some of the silver here, this is what the silver would look like if I did want to swap out for the silver with the black for whatever reason. Silver stem. Got the silver brake levers, silver basket, the cranks, the chain ring, all that stuff. So yeah, I just want to show you that real quick. Yeah, a lot to swap out here to upgrade. One thing I want to point out about this motor cable just real quick is this is one of the few points I think on this bike that are kind of vulnerable. There's no, you know, sometimes when there's a derailleur on a bike, they have like a steel derailleur cage. It kind of like will extend and then come down and protects the derailleur a little bit from getting strikes. It can also protect the power cable, but this is a little bit exposed. So if I were to drop this bike on the right hand side, or maybe if I somehow did like a weird curb jump or something, like this could be potentially vulnerable to a strike. So I just want to kind of caution you guys against that, just to kind of keep an eye out for it. And then this chain ring up here, so this is a 56 tooth chain ring up here in the front, and in the back it comes standard with an 18 tooth cog, single speed. The gearing here is pretty good for around, for me it felt like around 21, 22 miles an hour is where kind of the sweet spot for my cadence was. Anything past that and it started to feel like I was, you know, beating eggs a little bit. Now for those who want, you know, to increase the the gearing even further and to get even more pedal power that you can put into it. They also have an option for a 16-tooth cog in the back, which will basically allow me to pedal faster at higher speeds and not, you know, be beating eggs around 22 miles an hour, but instead like around 26 miles an hour, which might be better for this since the motor is so powerful, and since it does have such a high top speed. That's definitely going to come down to a personal preference thing, but yeah, 56-tooth chainring in the front, that's really big. I do dig that. A couple things I want to say about this seat real quick is this saddle is incredibly comfortable. This is real leather, right, for the saddle? Yeah, so this is real leather on the saddle, and just check out the stitching real quick on this. I mean, this is a really nicely finished piece right here. Very comfortable. They got the logo in the back, and I love that these guys do have their branding, but it's not just like it's not absurd or over the top. It's just like a nice kind of streamlined branding. I really like that. But they've got these rubber bumpers underneath, and again, I rode for about 10-11 miles, something like that, and it was really comfortable. I was really surprised at how comfortable this saddle was with no suspension on this bike. And again, of course, I could add a seat post suspension if I wanted to have even more cushion. However, this is a tool adjust that typically, I think, does it come standard with a tool adjust or a quick release for the seat post? Okay, so yeah, so this one just has a tool adjust, but the typical one is a quick release. I think I can show you over here on this bike, on the Model S, but with these saddles, the only thing about this is they don't drop down quite all the way, or do they actually on this one? This one does drop down. Maybe it was the other one. Well, never mind. Well, these saddles do drop down all the way. That's my bad. I thought for some reason that they did not drop down all the way. So that's great, yeah, because especially for, you know, this frame, the Model S, where they got that really low standover height for the step-through, being able to have the saddle drop down all the way is going to, you know, decrease the minimum saddle height, and it's going to allow people like me who have a shorter inseam to kind of get on and keep their feet just about flat on the ground while in the saddle at a stop, which might be really important for some folks. Well, that was really going to be kind of one of my few complaints about this bike. Yeah, see, it is a little bit different for this one. Sean, am I losing it over here, man? Like, I feel like this one doesn't come down quite all the way. Is the geometry a little bit different? Yeah,
so what you do is if you loosen this one, you can actually move the seats a tad bit forward, and the next will go down at the angle.
Perfect.
But yeah, this geometry has a tad bit different. You would standardly get the one that's on the step-through, and then you'll have the choice of getting the suspension seat post.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically, just to make sure I understand this correctly, Sean, what you're saying is if I bring the saddle just a little bit forward, then I'll be able to move it over down. Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. So sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I tried to drop this down in the shop here earlier. It wasn't going down, and I just kind of spaced and forgot to do that. So I'm really glad Sean was here to help kind of point that out for me. One other thing here about the handlebars, the stem, before actually going to the electronics here and going to the settings of the display. This is an adjustable angle stem, and it does go from 0 degrees, you can see here, all the way up to 60 degrees. There is only one point of contact for the screw to help kind of secure this thing. Sometimes, you know, it can slip. It's more prone to slipping than some of the stems that have like the 2 screws in there, the 2 points of contact to really keep it stable. But I think on a bike like this, you know, it's a cruiser. I'm really not expecting to do a bunch of jumps with it. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. But being able to adjust this stem, like I said earlier, it is going to help compensate for that one frame size. If I want to drop the stem down, it's going to help increase my reach, and it's going to lower my riding posture, making me more aerodynamic, more efficient. Or I can bring that stem up. It's going to decrease my reach a little bit, and it's going to increase my posture, make me more upright and just relaxed, which is definitely what I would prefer for this kind of bike, especially with how powerful it is. So yeah, I feel like we have, I mean, we've covered quite a bit with this bike. There's still probably just a lot more to go over here, but we do need to get into the display. So let's go ahead and start breaking that down here. So activating this is pretty straightforward. It's just going to be a long press of the power button on the independent button pad on the left here. We've got the up arrow, the down arrow, and the power button. I think, Sean, do we have to keep the battery or turn the battery on before we turn the display on?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I think that might have been on an earlier version. Is that right?
No, there's a master switch at the bottom here, and you can just keep that on all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what Sean is saying here is that there's this master switch right here. Can you see that? And as long as I keep that on, then the bike can power up. So cool. So once we have this thing powered up, this is a pretty straightforward display, I would say. It's kind of minimalist, but it's got the pertinent information that I want to see when I'm riding, which is nice. So up here on the top left, we've got the 4-bar battery indicator. Not going to be super precise, 4 bars, it's going to be 25% increments. I always prefer to have a percentage indicator, but you know, not a big deal. Top right, we've got a trip timer, so we've been riding for about an hour. Left-hand side here, we have the pedal assist level. So it's going to be technically 6 pedal assist levels, 0 all the way up to 5 here. So whenever I turn the bike, so let's say I leave this thing in pedal assist level 4, turn the bike off, turn it back on, it's going to revert back to pedal assist level 1, which a lot of displays do. I always prefer this, that it would boot back up to however I left it, because you know, if I left it there, that's probably where I want it. But what I like about this is 5, well, technically 6 different pedal assist modes. And first of all, whenever I turn the bike on, the throttle is going to be live here, which is awesome. So I'm just going to twist the throttle, and you can see it starting to move a little bit. That's great for crossing crosswalks, getting started at the bottom of a hill really easily. For me, especially, it's great for getting upstairs, especially again for this bike, 69 pounds, very heavy, kind of back heavy too. Carrying it is a little unwieldy. So being able to have the throttle live at 0 miles per hour, it adds a lot of functionality to this, I think, and I really appreciate that they did that. But another thing I really do like about the pedal assist settings here is kind of how they're set up. So in pedal assist level 0, if I twist the throttle, nothing happens. So basically in 0, this bike is dead. Nope, the pedal assist doesn't work. It's just a traditional bike. But if I'm in any sort of positive pedal assist mode, 1 through 5, I can use the throttle, I can use the cadence sensing pedal assist. But okay, so pedal assist level 1, remember the top speed is going to be 28 miles per hour top speed with the pedal assist, and even in pedal assist level 1 I can reach that speed of 28 miles per hour. It's just going to give me less assist all the way up there, which I think is really how the pedal assist settings should work. A lot of the times the different pedal assist settings feels like it's kind of just like a speed limiter, like level 1 will be 10 miles an hour top speed, level 2 is 13, and that's not how it is with this. It's more of a it's limiting the output of the motor, which I just think is great. And also is I can keep this in pedal assist level 1, kind of conserve the battery, which I really don't need to because it's so big, but I could conserve the battery for longer rides, or if I'm low on juice, and then just use the throttle to override it, because this throttle is going to have access to full power at all times whenever we're in a positive pedal assist mode, which is, again, I really do like that. I think that's great. So again, 0 all the way up to 5. And 5 is really powerful. Like it's like it just I get up and going. Middle here we got the current speed, the motor wattage over here on the right. Right now it's at 0. Tripometer, this might be the odometer setting right here, 12.6 miles, and then the ambient temperature, which is 84 degrees outside. If I tap the power button, that's going to allow me to get into some of the other display settings here. So if I tap it once, it's going to show me the average speed, and switch from odometer to tripometer. I don't know what that just switched to, but basically I can keep kind of cycling through different settings. Max speed, voltage there on the bottom, and then if I click it again, it's going to go back to just the standard setting right here. So to activate the backlight, because this is a backlit display, but this display is not, it's not really, I can't angle this thing. I can't angle it, and I can't take it off without tools, which means you know, adjusting it for glare is really not going to be an option unless I want to kind of stop, get out my tools and move it around. But I'm able to see this pretty clearly in full sunlight, so I haven't had an issue with that. But if I do leave this at a bike rack, this thing could get scratched up, especially the screen, since I can't take it off that easily. But to turn on the backlight for this, and to turn on the headlamp and the tail light, I'm just going to hold up right here. Okay, and then I'll see there is a light icon that pops up on the display right here. And if I come over on this side, I mean, the sun literally just came out, the clouds parted, they sensed that the light was coming on. They're like, no, you can't show this on camera. But anyways, yeah, so there's the front headlights right here, 2 little LEDs. I haven't had a chance to really see this yet, so when it gets a little bit darker, I'll show you guys this beam pattern. And then in the back, that light that's integrated into the battery right there in the bottom, and then this part is going to be just a standard reflector. So that's what we got right there. So some of the rest of the settings here are a little bit funky, not too weird, but just a little bit different. So normally if I hold down on the independent button pad, it's going to enter into a walk mode. But what's interesting with this one, it's going to turn the light back off. Okay, if I hold down here, it actually activates and deactivates the pedal assist. You'll see the assist, it says assist right there. If I hold it again, it's going to turn pedal assist off. What's funny is you can see the little guy walking right there. Like, it looks like it wants to be in walk mode, but it doesn't. So it's just kind of funny. Maybe it doesn't have walk mode because honestly it may not need it since the throttle's live at 0 miles per hour. Like, for instance, to get up to this spot, you know, we came, Sean and me, we came through this area, and like, look, this is pretty like thick sand right here, and I ended up just using the throttle to scoot this thing forward, you know, because honestly walk mode wouldn't have worked. So maybe that's why they have it like that, I don't know. But I do want to show you guys really quick how to get into the back end of the settings here, because I want to make sure that you guys can edit the top speed, and also edit the top speed of the throttle or turn it off if you want to. So here's how you get into the settings. It's kind of tricky, bear with me. So I'm going to turn the bike off. Now I'm going to turn the bike back on, and then within 5 seconds I'm going to hold the up arrow and the down arrow. Okay, so bike on, holding the up arrow and the down arrow. Perfect. And now that I've done that within 5 seconds of activation, you'll see that the top speed right here, that's the top speed, it is blinking. So now I can change the menus by tapping the power button, change the values by going up and down here. So if I want to change the top speed, whatever, I can do that. Let's just set it at 60 kilometers an hour. Sure, good enough. But the cool thing is I can also lower it. So if I wanted to make this more of like a class 2 electric bike, or even a class 1, and disable the throttle, I could bring the top speed way down too. So that's pretty cool. However, one of the things that I really want to get to show you guys is the throttle. Like, let's say, because like, okay, so again, going back to like the law stuff, right? In California, it's still illegal to ride in a lot of places, but it's just not as strict around here. Places like New York, I think like Michigan maybe it is, there's a couple places that are just really strict, and I want you guys out there to, if you get this, to be able to ride comfortably and to have the knowledge to be able to turn this stuff off or just adjust it to however you want to. So that's kind of why I'm showing you this. So to get back to the throttle settings, this is where it gets a little bit trickier. So I'm going to keep tapping the power button until nothing on this bike is blinking. So right there. And now once the screen stops blinking, I'm going to hold up and down again. Okay, that's going to get me into the next mode. Okay, this is bikeception. Okay, for the menus, we're going down. We're going another level deeper. Another level deeper. So this is the P menu. We don't need this. So we're going to keep pressing power button. P2, P3, P4, P5. No. Okay, it stopped blinking again. Now I'm going to hold the up and down arrows again, one last time. There we go. Now we are in the C settings. So we need to go to C4. Okay. Now this is the throttle settings. So in C4, it normally is in level 2. So when it's in level 2 or value 2, that is the 20 mile per hour limiter. If I change this to level 0, that's going to match the top speed of the throttle to the top speed of my pedal assist. I don't know which setting it is, which value it is to turn the throttle off to make it dead completely, but I do know that I could do that. We just couldn't figure it out at the shop. So hopefully with some tinkering, if that's what you guys want to do, you'll be able to do that. But again, just want to kind of arm you guys with this knowledge so you know how to get in there. So again, just real quick, it's going to be, you know, hold the power button or hold the up and down arrows, get into that first menu, keep tapping until there's no blinking on the screen, hold the up and down, and keep going through that process. You guys can rewind it, but really it's the C4. That's the important one for you guys, C4 for the throttle. To get back out of here, I'm just going to hold the power button, but bam, good to go. And honestly, I really could just kind of keep going with this bike. There's so much to cover, but I want to see if Sean wants to add anything else here before we go for a ride. Start having more fun with this thing, getting some ride shots.
Oh, I think you've done very well, Brent. Maybe puncture resistant tires.
Good point. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Please talk about that. That'd be great.
Yeah. So these are EU approved e-bike tires, which is a really difficult certification to get. And they've got silkworm protection, which is a protection sort of against punctures. It doesn't give you 100% protection, but they're really strong tires. We also put a gel inside the tubes to protect against up to a 3mm hole that'll self-seal. So it helps with that. The rim itself is also a double-walled aluminum rim that is sort of motorbike grade, so strong and sturdy for longevity.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much, Sean, for adding that. And yeah, I'm really glad that you're here to help kind of just make sure I'm covering as much as we possibly can here. And also with these tires, since we are talking about that again here, these are going to be the 26 by 2.1 inch tires, a little bit smaller than like the 27.5, 28 inch. That smaller diameter for the wheel here is going to give the motor a little bit better of a mechanical advantage, which probably is also adding to that really high torque, that really high power output of this motor. And the 2.1 inch wide here tires, you know, along with the extra wide, I think 720 millimeters wide handlebars, that steel handlebars, the steel forks here. It's a real stable ride overall, and it's working in like a holistic way. I feel like, you know, it's got the somewhat wide 2.1 inch wide tires, the comfortable handlebars, the wide handlebars, heavy frame. It's all working together here. Yeah, I could keep going, but let's get this thing out on the road and we will show you this bike in action. All right. So we're just gonna ride around for a little bit. We are leaving the wedge right now, but still on the beach, you know, cruising on the beach. What pedal assist level are you in?
Pedal assist 1.
Oh, 1, perfect. Yeah, we were supposed to keep it pretty slow right here. This is like an 8-mile-an-hour top speed, but just wanted to get some shots for you guys so you can see the bikes in action. Sean is riding the Model S, and he's got a lot of the upgrades here. Like I mentioned earlier, he's got those leather saddlebags, he's got the wooden fenders there, big upgrade points, and then I'm riding the Model C right here. This is actually, I think, a cool opportunity to check out the pedal assist here. So let's try this. I'm going to start and stop pedaling, and you guys can kind of listen for the motor, how quickly it takes for it to activate and how quickly it deactivates. So this is just a shot of the cranks. There's no really derailleur to show you guys because this is a single speed. However, I didn't mention this in the review, but there's actually attachment points to throw a derailleur on, and there's actually space on the rear hub to put a derailleur if anybody does want to convert this to like a 7-speed or a 9-speed or something like that. And then this is just a cool kind of side shot of the Model C. This is in the Back Bay. This is called the Back Bay Trail in Newport. Just a really pretty area. And I'm going about 22 to 25 miles per hour here. And you can see I'm not using the throttle. I'm barely pedaling. I think I was in pedal assist level 3 right here. And this goes back to really how powerful this bike is, especially to be able to get somebody like me who weighs close to 200 pounds with that big old 30-pound backpack on, and I had gear in the saddlebags as well. And this thing is it's got the power to kind of get me up to speed and to keep me there. So this camera is actually on Sean's bike, the Model S, and it's just pointing backwards at me on the Model C, really just to show you guys what this bike looks like from the front. We're just going through some back streets here in Newport, and this is kind of pretty common for this area. There's just so many beach cruisers and just bikes in general on the roads. These guys are so friendly to bikes. There's a really cool bike culture here. It's really fun ride, and now we're about to hop on the ferry, which was a really cool experience as well. So this camera's on the front of the bike, in front of my bike, facing back towards me. Again, just a different angle, really trying to show you guys what this thing looks like from all different sides, because it does look really sweet when it's in action as well. Now these handlebars, again, these are the 720 millimeter wide handlebars. They're great for comfort, but something I noticed as I was driving through traffic is, you know, they are wide, it makes it stable, but it does make it a little bit difficult to kind of squeeze in between cars, and I could really see the possibility of scratching car door, hitting a mirror, And then this is back towards the wedge where we filmed the actual review. This is just a cool drone shot, again, just to show this bike in action. We've got Sean riding it right now. I'm operating the drone. I love the backdrop here, all that kind of that mist, that haze in the background. And this is like what this bike is built for, guys. It's like it's a beach cruiser, right? And I just thought it would be appropriate, and I had to just throw in at least one shot of it on the beach. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for the Model C review from Electric Bike Company. Just real quick to summarize this here for you again. This is a really sweet beach cruiser style electric bike that has just a ton of upgrade options, ton of kind of trim paint match options, a lot of accessories to choose from, and it has a really high top speed of 28 miles per hour with a pedal assist or 20 miles per hour with a throttle only. Awesome that it goes that fast, fantastic that it has a powerful motor to get people like me that weigh so much up to those speeds, but this might not be legal to ride in all areas. So I do want to caution one last time just to check with the state and local laws, make sure you guys are being safe, just being kind of smart about how you ride. Ultimately, of course, it's going to be your decision how you want to ride it, but I always just want to leave those cautions in there. Tons of little points on this bike that really make it kind of stand out, just the attention to detail. I love all the little things that they have done here. Just to make this bike shine. So I won't bore you by going over it again, but I do think this bike would excel at places like this, guys. I mean, if you're by a beach, how cool would this bike be to be hanging out, cruising along the beach? I mean, really being a beach cruiser. So flat ground, this thing does great at. Even some hill climbs, this thing does really good at. But the biggest point for me for this bike, I think, is going to be just the overall comfort with that extra wide saddle, the extra wide handlebars, the rigid steel forks to have that vibration dampening quality. Just makes for a comfortable ride overall. And then, yeah, you know, at a $1950 base price, it's still pretty affordable, especially for what's being offered here. So I hope you guys dug that review. Hopefully you're having an awesome day. Hopefully that was kind of a way to just kind of disconnect from, you know, the world for a little bit, hopefully geek out on bikes like me and Court love to do. Yeah, if you have any questions, you know, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Hang out in the forums if you want. You know, you can start a thread there, or of course you can leave a question or a comment on the written portion on ElectricBikeReview.com as well. So if you guys are going out to ride, have fun, ride safe, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, so we just got back to the shop here. This is their headquarters in Newport. Oh. Hi, puppy. He wants to say hi. Hello. Anyways, yeah, so we're back here at the headquarters in Newport. This is their main shop where everything is assembled here. They basically get everything perfect and ready to go. So we're going to walk through this thing and show you guys just kind of their process, a little behind the scenes. So here we go.
All right, good. Thanks, Brent. Yeah, so this is our office over here. We've got our accountants here, Kim, that helps us do all the admin.
Hi, Kim. Pleasure to meet you. Hi.
It is a bit late, yeah, so everybody else is, you know, knocked off. But basically the process is the order comes through online. So everything, the guys build their bike online, how they like it. And then we get an alert once we get the order in. Then we take our order form, and we would actually physically write it out. So who is it for? What type of frame they want, what color, what trim, the grips, the fenders, the seat post, what type of back wheel.
Yeah, the 18 or the 16. Yeah,
that's right. Most people have the 80, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes 16 is nice if you really want to pedal fast. What type of basket they want, what type of size battery you want, and all the different accessories.
Yeah, and this just goes back to kind of all the different, really those trim options for color and stuff that we have. And again, back to I love that there's the different kind of rear cog options and then all these accessories, which we're going to show here in just a few minutes, I think.
Yeah, good. So the guys would then take that order, and then we'd walk through. And
you know, actually, before we head over into the shop, can I just show? I saw one thing here. I just want to.
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on with this 3D printer back here first? Check this out.
Okay, well, good. Thanks, Brent. Yeah, so this is a prototype which we have is a Dutch cargo. It's a Dutch cargo that's adaptation that is attached to you take the front fork off, and then we actually put on an adaptation. That adaptation then can act as a child carrier for the front of the bike. So for us to get it exactly right, we first design it, and then of course we 3D print it, and then we add all the little pieces, like we've 3D printed these two pieces. So this will be the back of the basket, and this will be the front of the basket.
Okay.
And the kids would then sit.
So this is all 3D, huh?
This is all 3D printed.
That is
with this
so cool, man. Technology, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So this is a tiny version, obviously, of what.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you can, like you said, you can kind of play with it, check it out. And this is kind of just goes back to how you guys have really have built this thing from the ground up. And then anything, I mean, what's the slogan you guys had? Everything's assembled here in the USA with parts kind of sourced globally.
Global parts from all over. We have our battery management system from Germany. We have our spokes from Belgium. We have our frames from China. We have our seats and grips from Taiwan. We have some of our hardware here in the United States. When we have it all, we inspect everything, and then we wait for the order and how the customer wants his bike built, and then we build it. We put the whole bike together exactly according to how the customer likes it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we've also got these kind of blueprints. Is that what you call this?
Exactly.
So blueprints here of what basically what this bike looks like, all the design. So again, back to, I mean, these guys have really done their homework and trial and error and R&D and all those fun acronyms, whatever. But you're really getting this thing pretty much just spot on after a couple years. And one more thing before we head out there, I just want to point out these motors. So these are the motors that we're using here in the bikes. It's the 500 watt. It's the planetary gears here. You can see that on this side. It's just kind of cool. I don't always get to see these things exposed and open, so I just want to show this real quick. Just kind of a neat opportunity here. You can see those neodymium magnets here on this side. And then Sean was telling me how, you know, these kind of a little bit upgraded here because these magnets are actually curved as opposed to just straight. Just increases efficiency. So yeah, it's kind of a cool look right there. But yeah, okay, after you, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. So then what we do is we'll take the order, and our builder, whoever's the next up, he'll take that order down, and then off he'll walk. And yeah, this is where he'll get his frame, his fork, his fender. So you'd look at the order and you'd say, okay, right, it's a step-thru, the color is a white. So we have our step-thrus over here. You'd pull the white frame down.
Yeah, you guys have really used vertical space too in this shop too. I mean, check this out, guys. Look at this. This shop is really kind of like a 3D shop right here. All right, we got stuff on the ceiling hanging down. We got the workbenches, all the tools here. It's just a cool shop, really maximizing space here. I like just the design of this overall.
Yeah, very good. And then we'll take, of course, it comes with a white fork. So we'll take a fork down, and then we'd obviously, if you wanted fenders, so you can choose if you want kind of fenders, and the fenders would match the frame if you like, and you can also custom that. So we'd take the fenders.
Yeah, this is the red color option too. I don't think we've had a chance to see the red yet, but that's what the red looks like. We got the red rims right here. Looks pretty sweet. These colors, the red and the white, they are going to be more visible too, guys, and low light compared to the black. I personally like the black better, this one here, but just to think about it, right? There's no reflective sidewalls here on these tires. There's no reflectors here in the rims or in the spokes. So, you know, visibility laterally is going to be a little bit lower, but that might be kind of a reason to buy the red or the white, is to help, just to boost safety here in low light. And then what is this? This is an orange?
Yes, so we have an orange. We don't have it on our website. Since you can build your bike and have all the options, the website is so huge with all the variety. So we just kept 3 on the website. We have an orange step-thru and a classic, and we have, and then we also have a silver for a limited edition silver, which is in that corner back there.
Oh, okay.
And that's more sort of you know, limited edition stuff. Sort of the Raiders, you know, you have a black and silver sort of bike.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a few more options than are online.
So could a customer have a custom order? Could they, if they wanted like a forest green, could they do that too?
They can. What we have, if you have a look over here, is we've got a couple that are branded. You can actually put your own logo, company logo on the bike, or we can take that frame and we can send it to the painters, and the painters can change it. But that is a $600 upgrade for the paint.
Yeah.
And for a branded bike, if it's the same color, it's $200 upgrade.
Okay, so it's costly, but the option is there if customers want it. Okay,
no
that's
matter
cool.
What, we can take all the parts because the bike is not assembled yet. Then what happens is the guy takes his things and he comes and he would then put it on his workstation, where we only have specific tools for this specific bike that he makes here. So there's no extra tools or anything. Every one of these tools he uses at each one of the stations.
That's kind of cool, yeah. And so you guys hang it up here, you work on it.
We hang it here, and then each one of the components, each one of the parts is on the shelf. So this gets stocked obviously at the end of the day, so tomorrow morning this will be restocked with all the parts, and every one of those would then, he'll choose. So for instance, if he wants a silver, if the guy wants silver trim, he would take out the silver chain ring.
Okay.
He'll take the silver crank, and here's
the seat post suspension right here.
That's right. So this is a really nice seat post suspension, and you can choose either the silver or the black.
And then how much is it for the upgrade for the seat post suspension?
That's $55 if you buy a bike.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's really nice. So once he's got his parts, while he's building his bike, he'll take the parts and put it on the bike. Also, all the hardware that goes on the bike is all here. For instance, the bottom bracket, like we spoke about, this would be, the integrated bearings, both sides. So we would inspect this before we put it on, and then we would then.
And that's just again one of those small details where, I mean, most people probably wouldn't even know if it's going to be sealed or not, right? Because it's kind of hidden. But this is a sealed bearing here, and that's just going to help protect it from moisture getting in there, dirt, debris, grime, stuff like that. Increase the longevity overall, keep it from getting gunked up. Especially, and again, just to go back to a climate like this in Newport, right, where we got the high salt content in the air going down by the ocean. Especially susceptible to rust, so it's cool that we got stuff like that over here.
Very good. And all the different nuts and bolts that are put on the bike, stainless steel, rust proof. So we inspect each one of these, specify exactly which size, which are the bolts. The bolts also stainless. So each one of these items is specified exactly for the bike. And then the assembler would then assemble it according to the customer's expectation and specifications. Once it's finished, it takes about 7 to 8 hours to build the bike exactly. So one person is responsible for one bike. So he would put the whole thing together. Our certified guys get to work on the bike, and they then put the bike together.
So wait, are you saying I can't assemble one of these with you?
Well, maybe after some training, but you'd probably be okay.
Not a good idea.
So then once the guys have finished assembling it, then it would wheel back in here where we have two real specialists that would then inspect the bike and finish off the bike, trim it out, make sure every last detail of the bike is exactly right. Then we have a second person that would take the bike out on the road. So after the assembly, after it's been inspected, then it goes out on the road and gets tested. Once we finish testing it and it's been certified, we've got a whole checklist. So
can you talk about some of the kind of the checkpoints here? Because I know we've talked about a little bit. For me, it was like the brakes just really kind of called out to me because I'm really particular about how I want my brakes set up. And you guys, you have somebody who actually bleeds the lines right before.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so how does that work?
That's so because these are hydraulic brakes. Really, you want to make sure that they're bled properly and that they're primed perfectly. And this is one of the prime reasons we didn't go with backpedaling brake. We didn't go with cable brake. We didn't go with cantilever brakes. What we decided, we went for the highest quality brake for longevity, and that's really when it's liquid inside, especially in this environment.
Yeah.
So bike brakes are typically really thin, the cable, and they corrode and they stretch, which means a lot of rubbing and a lot of maintenance, and they can also actually snap.
Yeah.
So an electric bike, because it's heavier and because you go further and because you go faster, you really want the braking as a key part of the bike. So we decided not to skimp on the braking and make sure that we had the best brake. For a beach cruiser, you think, it's not so important.
But for a top speed of 28 miles per hour with the pedal assist, or 20 miles per hour with the throttle, that can be adjusted again at the back end. But yeah, like you're saying, absolutely. I think that's totally important. Yeah. Just real quick though, guys. So with hydraulic brakes, these are going to be, generally speaking, far more powerful than mechanical brakes. Mechanical brake is generally a little bit easier to adjust, though. Sometimes on a mechanical brake, the cable can stretch out over time, and then there's a little, some pieces down here that can be adjusted for that. Adjusting hydraulic brakes, typically a little bit more difficult. I mean, probably the best way to do it is to bring it into a shop, some certified guys like you to actually work on this. Not somebody like me, I probably wouldn't work on hydraulic brakes. And then these are dual piston here for the calipers. So yeah, pretty good stopping power for this.
Very good. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that the frame was strong enough, the brakes were the best brakes that you can get for this type of bike, and also that the tires were high quality tire. So it's not an entry level bike. But we made sure that we looked after the safety as a key. So when the inspector does that, we can have a look at the list. So he goes through, it's about a 76 checkpoint list.
76, okay.
Yeah, it's...
This is all the stuff that you guys are checking here.
Yeah, so we go through each one of these. We make sure that all the bolts are torqued to the right Newton meters. Every one of these torquing, and they check to see that it's not just kind of just screwed on or bolted on the way they want it. We check each part of that bike, and then they still got the test ride. They go through the whole test riding points, and then there's a few other little small checkpoints that we have.
Okay.
And then the inspection is completed. It's signed and dated.
And then once you guys have done that, you're saying once the inspection's done, once this is all assembled, somebody actually goes out there and rides these bikes first before. And okay, so that's again, like for me, one of the issues that I have had with direct order only is, look, I'm not a certified bike technician. I've got some skills because I put some stuff together, but sometimes I'll throw on that front wheel and maybe I can't get the front brake perfect. I got some rub, or maybe things aren't fitting just right, and that's because for most cases, when I get a bike sent to me, it has to be assembled. But that's kind of one of the cool things with these bikes is they are getting shipped to the door, fully assembled like this. And I'll show you here in just a second what they look like, but it's fully assembled. The only thing that I have to do if I get this bike is basically unfold the handlebars, tighten it down, and that's it. This is all calibrated, tested, and then left that way before it gets to me. So I don't have to do anything, which is just a huge time saver, and I think it helps to maintain that level of quality that you guys are trying to get out the door, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's right. So once it's finished and it passes all the inspection, passes the test, we go at full speed. We put on the hardest braking possible, make sure the brakes won't rub, make sure that it passes all these checkpoints. Once that's done, it's an independent person. It comes through to our packing area. In our packing area, we also didn't really want to skimp on the packing, so we made sure that we use quality packing materials. So this is all made in the US too.
Yeah, this is nice foam here.
Yeah, custom made to fit our bike.
Pretty high density stuff.
Yeah, and so the bike, in theory, then we put the bike together, and this is how, when you wheel out the bike, it'll come in a box like this to your door. And what you just do, there's a little video online, and you would cut these two straps off, open up the box, and wheel out your bike.
Okay.
So this is how your bike would then be wheeled out as. So it's just like this, and all you have to do is cut off the cable ties.
Okay.
Unwrap the seat, cut off these cable ties. Then what you'll do is turn the handlebars and set them the way you want, and then tighten the bolts. And if you want to adjust anything here, you'll tighten the bolt there.
Okay.
And then the tires are pumped up,
yeah.
brakes have been primed.
Small detail for having the tires pre-filled, but it's a time saver, and it's cool. I like that. One of those small details that these guys are really paying attention to. There's a lot of attention to detail in this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Vince.
Even for packaging, can't recall, but I really don't think I've seen the extra effort of just putting in these kind of harder, these thicker kind of bracing pieces here on the side, so that they can cinch these straps down pretty tight. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on this, but it's not crushing the box because they have these supports right here. It just allows, because look, I used to work for a shipping company, and I can tell you that they're not always going to keep this. They're not always going to abide by these rules. It's not always going to be this side up. It's not always going to be laid flat. So it's just nice that, number one, for the outside of the box, they have this extra protection. Number two, they have this nice high density foam to really help protect the bike, from getting hit and stuff in transit. So dig that.
Yeah.
And then one last thing I do want to mention about this though, look, I do love that this thing comes fully assembled, ready to go, pretty much out of the box, like 5 minutes, I would imagine, to just cut this stuff off. Get the handlebars there, tighten it, that's it. The only thing though is this box is really big, it's really tall, and this is a heavy bike, 69.2 pounds, probably even heavier with the packaging here. Do you know what the weight is of the boxes? It's like 78, probably
75.
75?
We between 75 and 78 if you get the front basket.
Okay, so for me, I'm thinking of, okay, I live in an apartment. How am I going to get this thing up the stairs? I'm going to need help. So just something to keep in mind. Again, just go back to safety. You don't want anybody getting hurt trying to drag this thing upstairs or something by themselves, because this package is going to be bigger than a lot of other direct order only bikes that I've received, simply because those other bikes are more disassembled, so they're more broken down. It's just easier to have a more compact box. So
very good. Yes, yeah. You want to have somebody to help you. If you're going up some stairs, ask a friend to come help, or ask someone to bring it up there. Typically, you can also take it out down there and leave the packaging in the back room or something. But it is that's one of the things, is unpacking it and doing it properly.
For sure. Oh, and then real quick again, I just want to hit up the shipping costs here. So shipping to the contiguous U.S. is going to be $225 flat fee for anywhere in the contiguous U.S. So Alaska and Hawaii, that's going to be a different shipping cost. Anywhere in Canada, it's going to be $5.99 flat shipping, and it's going to be a quoted price for worldwide, so outside of North America. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and that's.
I see. What's this room back here?
What we did was we really wanted. We learned hard lessons about batteries in our past. And
let's talk about the batteries.
Yeah, so what we really wanted to do is we wanted control of the battery too. So Electric Bike Company bought a company called Turn Life USA, and we actually now have control over the manufacturing of the battery pack. So we use authorized and certified Samsung cells, but we also can do Panasonic and we can do LG. And we then manufacture the battery pack according to our specifications. Now this is a little room where we do all our testing. So the batteries will come in over here, and for instance here is a battery pack. This is how the sleeve would come, so this gets put onto your bike.
So in this box here, the controller is about from here back, right?
That's correct.
And then the battery, so the inserts for the battery, they're going to be the same physically on the outside. The only difference is going to be one's going to be 17.6, the other one's going to be 11.4, and then they're going to have fewer batteries in the smaller one. Is that an ice cream truck outside? What's going on here? Look at that. Can you guys see that? Ice cream truck. Anyways. And then...
So that would slide in.
So yeah, and there's some special things that you guys do with your batteries, like the individually fused cells, the dual temperature control. Can you just talk about that real quick?
Yes, sir. So the way that we did was, because there's lithium batteries have been known to cause problems. The safest way to make sure the battery is the safest possible is to individually fuse each cell. So if there's something that goes wrong with a cell, there's a subpar cell, that fuse will then fuse out, and it'll take the cell out of the equation for the battery.
So will the battery still work with a dead cell in this case?
Yes, it still works, but it depends on how many, the kind of the setup.
Sure,
you can have how many on series and how many on parallel.
Okay.
It would take out one of the parallel sides of it, depending which one goes. So the battery might not be able to go as far, but we would know straight away, and all you would do is ship it back to us. You say, listen, my battery's, it's not performing the way I want to. You just slide out the battery pack, and again, it'll come in a box. We'll ship it to you first. You get your new one, you put your old one back in the box with the return shipping label, and then you can use your new battery, and you just slide it back into your sleeve. And
then one of the things that it goes back to safety, right? Because if you have one dead cell, something goes wrong with that, am I correct in saying it's going to minimize the chance of fire? Basically, it's going to minimize the chance of, like, heavens forbid, like an explosion or something, right? It's just going to really drop that down. And then we've also got the dual temperature controllers there.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at the battery, and we've designed every part of the battery. Of course, there's the charging ports, there's the on and off switch. But what's very interesting is this is a smaller style battery, but each battery cell is connected, and what we've done is we've actually now individually fused each cell has a fuse. So that's really important for battery safety. 99% of all battery manufacturers won't take the time to put a battery fuse in. So that's, if a battery malfunctions, that fuse will then take it out of the mix and keep it real safe.
Okay.
The other important part is the temperature sensors. So we have two temperature sensors. There's one over here. That's just a little sensor. So that'll make sure that the battery management system is functioning well. And there's another temperature sensor in here. So this has two temperature sensors that feed information back to the BMS. That if the battery is now under stress, it'll shut the whole battery down and not cause any problems. So we feel that the battery safety, we need to know about the safety, we need to specify the safety, and we need to then verify that it's safe. Then we designed our rack on the bike to perfectly fit the battery pack and support it.
So this is all custom designed, right? The rack,
right.
All this is all part of that display that picture we saw earlier back. Just another one of those things where it's all custom designed. And then just again, I think I mentioned this before, but this is actually welded on to the frame as opposed to being bolted on, and that's just going to, I think, actually help increase rigidity overall, especially on the step-through frame. And it's also just going to mean that it's not going to ever rattle or come loose. There's nothing to rattle or come loose. There's no bolt or anything here. It's actually welded physically to the frame itself. And then, real quick before we come back into this room, I saw over here these are the fast chargers right here, right? This is what the 5 amp looks like. So this is another upgrade point that we can get with the bikes here, and then these run for $99. $99, and then they also have a fan in here, which is great. Pretty good sized fan. It just helps to expel the heat from this thing because these can get pretty hot. It's also got a fuse in case there's a burst of power. You can just pop that. The fuse will pop, and you can replace that as well. So nice little upgrade point. But again, there is a 1.8 amp output charger in the battery itself.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you think you were talking a little bit about the painting.
Yeah.
The paint. So the way that we can brand, of course, since we assemble the bike fully, we have the frames available, and we can brand the bike for your individuals or for companies. And the way that the bike is painted is, once the frame has actually been made out of aluminum, then it is then coated, firstly cleaned with a really good cleaner. Then it's coated with a primer, and then it has 3 layers of paint. Each layer goes on, and then it has 2 layers of clear. So those 2 layers of clear coating then kind of seal the bike. So the paint job is as good as any car.
I think you also were mentioning that there's like a baking process as well, right? Correct. With the painting?
So once the person wants to personalize their bike, so for instance that police bike, they want to personalize it, and we've got a couple in the shop. So what we'll do then is we'll take the frame and we send it to a graphics designer. They'll graphically design their particular pattern, and then what they do, they take off 2 layers of the gloss coat, then they would put the graphic on, and then they put the 2 layers of the gloss coat back on, and then it gets put into a baking process where then the gloss paint then covers the graphic, so it never peels or fades. So it's really actually now part of the bike, so it's not a sticker of any type.
Right. So like right here again, like he's saying, this isn't. I can feel this, and it feels flush. Like it's like he's saying, it's not a sticker. It's these custom brandings here. This is not something that's actually on top of the paint. It's actually beneath the paint, and then the top coats or the more clear coats, whatever, are going on top of that, and yeah, it looks clean. So that's a kind of an upgrade feature as well, right? That's going to cost a little bit extra to throw that stuff on there.
Yes, sir. If a company wants to put their logo on, so that the top bar would have a logo both sides, and then the tagline would come on the bottom too, that's $200. That's how much we really get charged. We get charged actually $199, so we just charge $200 to put.
So basically, it's just a service you guys are offering. You're not trying to actually get
correct
money off it. That's cool. Yeah. What else? So we got the paint done. There's also, I do want to show some of the accessories, Sean. Can we take a look at some of the extra stuff? Like, I think actually in here we've got those battery baskets like we were talking about earlier. It's where, because remember, with these bikes, guys, again, just they are heavy. They are back heavy, especially with the motor in the back and the battery here on the rear rack. So one option is to throw on one of these basket batteries, which is pretty sweet. It's the same, looks like the same basket as the normal baskets, like these right here. The only difference, of course, is there's an extra battery hidden inside the basket. Which
Yeah,
is
and it's
cool.
also got the retractable cord inside.
Oh, okay, great.
So let's just open that thing. And then you just plug that cord into any outlets.
So same setup here as the normal batteries in the back. 1.8 amp output for that, for the charger as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, then this would then also just be a plug and play system, and it's kind of 4 bolts, and you can take that off.
And then this is the 11.6 amp
11.6 amp
11.6 amp
battery.
batteries. So yeah, so if I was to grab, you know, one of the upgraded batteries, the 17.4 for the back, and add the 11.6 to the front, that's a lot of juice. It's going to help balance the bike. How much is it for these baskets, for the batteries in them?
These are $6.99 extra.
So that's, again, another upgrade point. And that's kind of the deal with these bikes, I feel like, guys, is, you know, the $1950 base price is really, really good, I think, for what these guys are offering. But it can add up really quickly, right? You got the $6.99 for the basket. There's some saddlebags here I'm going to show you in a minute. I think those are $4.99. There's a lot of cool upgrade points, but it can raise that price really, really quickly. So just something to keep in mind here with that. Yeah, I love that. I love that battery basket. It's just it really. I mean, man. What 150 miles like we're talking about, right? For the range,
That's
maybe
right.
for that. And I think that's a fair estimation because I think we rode today for, was it like 12 miles altogether, right? Something like that. And then I had the 17.4 amp hour battery on that bike, and the battery bar indicator did not move at all. Granted, those are 25% increments, so basically I'm still above 75% battery, somewhere between 75 and 100, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So let's go look at some other cool accessories here.
Okay, so we add, this is something in our design process, because we welded on the rack and because it fits with the bike, we have these little brackets here, and we have brackets on the side here. And we did that for the purpose. One of the purposes was to have a back basket, which is in the other room, but it just fits on top here, and we can take a look at that, and just 4 bolts, so you can actually have a cargo basket.
Yeah, so it's going to add even more functionality to this bike, right? So I can have the basket up here in the front, which again is attached to the stem, not to the fork. So when I turn the handlebars here, that basket's going to stay stationary and it's not going to tilt. My cargo is going to stay in there. And then I can also, if I want even more, if I'm again going for like a long ride or grocery shop, whatever, I can throw that rack on the back. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back and talk about these saddlebags.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the back basket is, you have a choice of a black or a silver, and those are actually up there.
Oh, those are big.
Yeah, so there's a real big cargo baskets that we'll ship to you, and it's just 4 bolts, and you attach it to the back of the rack. And
Okay.
It's sturdy attachment.
So yeah,
and
easy to assemble that, because basically, you know, the design here has been thought out with that in mind, right? We've got these already pre-drilled holes, and it just makes it easy.
good.
All right, so we got saddlebags. This is something I've been pretty excited to talk about. These saddlebags look dope. Really excited for this.
Yeah, so again, we thought it is an upgrade, but the quality, this is locally made right here in California, and the supplier that we worked with him to make sure that it fits with the bike's design. Of course, it can fit tall enough to fit wine bottles,
Right.
which is also quite important. And also then we got to use the holes again. So these just unclip, and this is going to be finished off because this is our first prototype. And so basically all it'll do is you'd screw in that bolt, we'll supply that, and then to get the basket, to get the saddlebag on the frame, you just open that up, click it in, and then it's clicked in space.
Yeah, and that just goes back to the attention to detail that I was talking about. Just all these little really well thought out design points in this bike. It's just lots of different attachment points here. Pre-threaded bosses. I mean, you guys are creative, you EBRs. You could probably think of even more uses for this stuff. I mean, we've got more little eyelets right here on this side as well. Another one down here. There's a lot of attachment points here. A lot of just possibilities to put different types of saddlebags, different types of maybe even, I don't know, surfboards. Yeah, that's great. So this saddlebag, like you're saying, this is manufactured locally here in Newport, and they're really sweet. These are magnetic attachments, so it looks like, you know, it's got these kind of you know, old school buckles, but it's actually magnetic. It just makes it easier to open, you know, throw your stuff in there.
The keys, look,
Got your little key thing, maybe your phone or something right there. But again, this is an upgrade point, and these are pretty expensive. These are on for $5.99?
$4.99.
$4.99.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do look sweet, and I think they do add some functionality. I would personally prefer probably these instead of that rear basket, but the basket I'm guessing is quite a bit less money.
No, that's that's $99.
Yeah, so $99 versus $4.99, definitely big difference there. But I like how, you know, the saddlebags, there's 2 of them, right? And it's just going to help. It's going to be well balanced. Also, another little design thing. Small, might go unnoticed, but these are kind of cut out right here, and that's so if I wanted to actually pick this thing up, put it on my shoulders, it's not going to dig into my neck, and I can just kind of carry it around with me, and it makes it a little bit easier. Sean's going to take it off for me real quick. We're going to try this thing out. We got one more latch down here. Cool. So yeah, I can just take this thing off. Let's try this. We'll have Sean put it on.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, Cowboy Sean. Look at that. But check it out. Yeah, but see, I mean, look, it's got the cutout for the neck, so it's just not going to dig. And just attention to detail. Again, little things, you know, really makes it stand out. Those are sweet, Sean. I really like those. Yeah. Oh, and let's talk about these fenders too. So, another upgrade point, of course, there's the option of changing the fender colors as part of the trim options we talked about earlier. I think it's just basically silver or the color, the frame, paint matching, so it'd be, you know, red, white, or black depending on the color. However, there is also this really sweet option of these custom wood fenders and this custom wood chain cover right here, which is just really nice. Really nice looking stuff. And this is made locally as well, right?
Yes, in Bend, Oregon.
In Bend, Oregon. Okay,
Yes.
I've been there. That's a really nice place. Yeah, I had never used wood fenders before. My guess is they're probably going to be a little bit heavier than plastic,
not
right?
Not too much. Our fenders are actually steel typically, but this is a little bit, you know, a little bit more. But I think it's just more kind of style.
Sure, it's definitely more of a stylistic thing, I would say. And then the price point for this extra trim, this wood stuff.
This is $2.99.
$2.99 for that. So again, really cool options here, but it can add up really quick. $2.99 for that. You know, $4.99 for the saddlebag, $6.99 for the extra battery basket, or I think $99 for the extra basket in the back. A lot of sweet options, but yeah, it can get pricey. I suppose the cool thing is look, like we've talked about, this is direct order only, so the base price here is going to be $19.50. That's a pretty good value for what's being offered here. So maybe, you know, for people who might be ready to spend a little bit more, maybe getting something like this and then upgrading it might be a better option than just going for like a regular $4,000 or something cruiser that costs more out the gate, as opposed to not having, you know, those upgrade points. So just different strokes, different folks, you know. All right, Sean, we talked about a lot of stuff, man. Is there any other accessories, anything else we should point out here?
You know, a few things coming, obviously bubbling under, but the frame is a sturdy, strong frame, enough to be adding solar panel attachments, you know, the surfboard attachments, the rear baskets, the front Dutch cargo basket. So the bike is as a base model, you know, you start there, just around $2,000, yeah, and then you just add all these things. We've got some fun. We've got a child seat attachment. That's also
right. Yeah, that's the one that was in the 3D printer earlier,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Well, that's the Dutch cargo. That's
the
Dutch cargo because we've beefed up our headset, and we've been able to put on basically a bracket that can hold a much bigger component.
Okay.
And we've also got two brackets that hold the kickstand. So once you've got these as attachment points and you've got this as an attachment point, you then can actually add on a Dutch cargo attachment to this bike, and it fits with the battery power, it fits with the motor power, and you can now have your base model, and you can add all these, the Dutch cargo attachments, you know, the surfboard attachments, you know.
And the Dutch cargo, that's going to be for like a child seat, you said?
That's right. Two kids can sit in the front, so it's just a big bucket with a smaller wheel in the front. Okay. And that will then be added to the bike frame.
And that's something that's coming soon?
That's coming soon.
Okay. Any idea on pricing for that yet?
We don't know yet. Hopefully we're going to try. As I say, you'll be buying it directly from us.
Yeah.
We'll be speccing it. We'll make sure that it fits perfectly with the bike, and we'll be shipping it directly to you. So I'm hoping that it's going to be reasonable.
Yeah. So maybe for now, for any of you guys who might want to have like a child seat or something for this bike, maybe there might be a way to attach it with this, again, just because there are so many attachment points here. I would think there's probably more than one way to make that work with this setup right here. And then the max load capacity is 350 pounds for this bike, is that correct?
350 pounds tested load.
Okay.
But I've had myself on this bike and friends on this bike. And but anybody, 350 pounds, no problem.
So 350 pounds load capacity, not total weight. So 350 additional pounds. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely a big difference than just total weight, including 350 pounds, including the bike. That's not what it is. It's actually an additional 350 pounds, excluding the weight of the bike, which is great. So cool, man. Well, I think that's kind of it, right?
Yes. I think that's very well done, and thank you very much, Brent, for your time.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me out. This has been awesome. Hope you guys dug this video, and catch you next time.